Hi Taurus. A couple things before we get started. Happy birthday to all of you who have birthdays coming up or have passed. And also, I live near a busy road, so you might hear background noise as well as a little kitty friend running around. So that's a perfect segue into the fact that I'm calling your reading thunder, because thunder is the element of sudden change. Regardless if you think you're ready, it's kind of like the element of, well, this is happening because you are ready, whether you know it or not, or consciously know it or not. And that very much relates to this eclipse coming up, the solar eclipse in Taurus, the eclipse's axis being in Taurus and Scorpio. And here the cards, I think, want to be extremely specific because none of them have fallen out yet. There's also this emphasis on your home and changing up different ways of how you look, especially if you're a Taurus rising. It's very, and they all fall down. Literally all of them. There are a lot of cards. The first one being the Knight of Swords. As you can see behind me, so I did some housework this past weekend, so you may feel very much in charge of your life. Or if you're not in charge of your life, you're wanting to take more charge of your life, wanting to have more control over your life, wanting control over how you live your life, regardless if it is required, regardless if it is something that you have to ask for. It's just something you want to do. You have a lot of energy right now. Aries season, your season comes in, and although you feel it's very slowly moving, well, some of you can feel like it's slowly moving, there's a lot going on inside of you. Like, you're preparing to create, you're preparing to come out of your shell, you're preparing to bloom. And for some of you, this could have already happened, being the Fool coming next. It's just important. So seeing the Fool and the Knight both facing the other way, and then this very confident, very chill person facing the other way, it's like these two parts of you that are going on, especially Uranus being in your sign as well. And it's these two parts of you that both want the freedom and want to take a risk, and some of you could be self-sabotage for sure. And then there are others of you who know it's better to go confidently and just to keep moving forward. Not that these things would be moving backwards, but it's just that it seems as though you could be associating taking a risk as moving backward, or doing something that you've done before as moving backward, or for most of you, I just think it's this mixed energy, like these different kinds of energy coming at you, and you're just unsure of which way to go and how to move right now. What's really important is that you are very clear, because regardless if you are, the universe is going to be extremely clear with you. I do feel like this is a message coming to you, but for those of you who need the people around you to understand that you're in a different place in your life right now, even if you don't feel it at this moment, you know it's coming. You can sense those things. You're very much an earth sign. You're so sensitive, and you feel it coming even if it hasn't happened yet. Most likely by the eclipse it will. But it's this huge notion of, and not only a notion of what's been going on for a while, I feel like I'm yelling, what's been going on for a while, but it's also this it's almost like you understand why you've been feeling shifty, why the energy, it has been crisscross, mixed match, like you want to go this way, but you want to go that way. And you're headed so gracefully in this one direction, and then this other direction wants to come and sweep you up, and you just feel like you don't have time for it all, but it's possible that you're able to do it all. It's just about getting very clear with the side, your mental and your health and your physical. That's the way you start to prepare yourself for big changes, is getting yourself as healthy as you can be. It's very important that the Six of Cups doesn't turn into the Six of Pentacles. And that's something I was going to say, so I can come back to now, is you may have to have conversations, and maybe it's not so much a conversation of just hey, I need you to listen to me for a second. I have something to say to you, and it's clearly not coming across. I can't continue to like be this way in this relationship that we have. I'm not able to give what I could. I can only give what I can now. You know, those things change sometimes. And I think some people aren't used to hearing it so clearly because you're someone who just says things very simply and to the point. And there are people who don't even understand that. Like they don't get the clarity because it's almost like it is how people can rely on you as well. They rely on you for your stability. They rely on you for being that person who's always there in the end or even at the beginning. They rely on you to say what you always what they always expect you to say and what you always do say. But you're coming to a point where you're doing it, but you're doing it in a way that it is graceful. Like that's where you can take the grace. If you don't feel like you're moving in that direction, you can still take that feeling with you. You can still utilize that, especially when you have to say these things like, oh, now I get why all this noise has been in my head or why there's been so much friction. Like even with it being, and it's not only just Uranus, but it's Uranus is related to the nervous system. So it's all this very sensitive lots of nerves happening. There's could be things happening with your body as well. And you used to be able to do things and now you have to do things a little differently and move a little differently than you did. But it doesn't mean that you can't have those adventures. It doesn't mean that you can't take those risks. It just means how you take those risks are more important. How you decide to do that is more important because of what's going on with you and what you really need help with and how your body needs to be almost like your first priority right now, especially now. You're also there's a lot of opportunity to have a lot of fun as well this month. You just need to be able to allow yourself the opportunity to say the things when you need to say them. Like something is ending and I think that's this part of you, the cards anyway say it's this part of you that yes, you can give so much and you can be very generous with your blooming, but make sure it's not because you feel like you want to make sure that it's coming from a pure place and not just from like you think you owe someone something or it's coming from charity or this part of you that feels like you have to do it in order to keep some kind of reputation. And you don't have to worry about that. You worry about that in your own head. And yes, it does make sense to a certain extent, but it's almost like this month there is going to be a lot happening. And by the end of the month, we'll be in a Pluto retrograde. But for now, and for like especially the first part of the month, it could be very wise for you to say things that, because they're coming up right away. It's like, if you want to do this, then you need to say this. You need to say it and do it in a way where you don't feel like you're going to have regrets on how you say it or how you ended things. Being more trusting in who you are and how you express, explain, give information, share information, how you grow. And yes, it doesn't look like it has before, but that's better. That means that's healing. That means that you're different. Regardless of anyone else's, you are. Because it's the person that you hear that happens to go through the situations over and over, and you know what that's like. You know what it's like to really take a step back and not say, I'm going to change and put all this energy into it. That's not your vibe. That's not the way you work. You are thorough. You're thoughtful. You see and you calculate the cycles and you see how they really work and how it affects your mood. It affects the way you feel. And most of all, it affects the way that you look and how you see yourself. And that's like the biggest part, is how you see yourself. And here by the end of the month, you can see yourself and you may not even realize that whatever this decision, whatever this movement, whatever is just happening because it's supposed to happen this month, it's happening so that you can see what you've created with yourself, how you've become, and how you can embody even more this Empress energy, and how you can thread it into a purpose. You can thread it into something that not only drives you, but you want to drive it. You're like, I don't think so a lot of people don't get, like, talking about the thoroughness of it. You don't always like your name on things. It's very Venusian, so this can relate to Venus qualities, is that you don't want to put your name on something, or you don't want to be fully embodied in something unless you know its value down to the core. You're just not that kind of person. You're willing to take the risk. You're willing to do the things that you need to do in order to get yourself there, help get the other people there. But it doesn't mean you always want to be the in front. You don't need to be out there. You know what you do. You take pride in what you do. It's the Taurus that is more needy, and that side of you that can want attention and that is craving those things. It's because you're really not giving it to yourself, and you're not giving yourself the time, and you say you will and you don't. And then it comes out in these other ways, and that's fine. Those are just, it's not something to be upset about. It's like, groom yourself, like, touch your hair. I love touching my hair. I know it's not always the best way to do a video or talk to someone, but that's how I am. I like to feel things, especially if it's soft and if it's luscious. This is all a part of how you see yourself. And I think more than ever, more than how you look, how you see yourself, your perception of who you think you are is what's most important more now than ever. And I think that what you may discover this month is that the way that you've had to come to the end of cycles is not something that you're even willing to do anymore. Like, you're willing to even dead the way you go through cycles. You want to see change even in that. You want to move, you want to feel just up. You want to go up. This thunder, this time is you taking a chance on yourself to release and finally move on from the past. There may be as well, life is kind of guiding you forward, and you'll never like truly escape it, but and that's also not the wording. It's not that you want to escape it. It's just this time. It's time for you to move on from the parts of you that have, and this could be for some of you, the Fool and Knight, who are facing the opposite direction, but really you need to go with that Six of Wands, and here you have 3 sixes even in this reading. And then you go down and there's the 5, but you'll see that more in the second part, which will be in a link below where I show you the cards, and it will be on Patreon. That will be there. And all other information to work with me is below as well. It's just a very clear indication that you're changing. It's happening whether you like it or not. You're making decisions quicker. You're moving quicker. You're just, especially with how you do things, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are taking the Fool Aries, you're going from Aries energy in like full force into your season. You are, but you're doing it throughout the season. It's not all just happening at once. You'll notice that it's probably different spurts of things over time. And for some of you, you may have 3 different indications, external indications, like showing you the way, giving you signs. It could be in the form of humans too. But what you're going to receive is this understanding of yourself that maybe goes too far with certain things when you never meant to take it that far, even if it was just helping someone, or, but it gets dragged on farther than you would have expected or wanted to. Or you take the compliment and that leads to something else and you didn't really mean for it to, and you're finally able to be very clear and direct with people by the end of the month, because that's what's in the forefront of your mind, is this Chariot is bringing you. It's this very mysterious pull that's pulling you into the spotlight. It's pulling you into a different view of yourself. It's pulling you forward, knowing, and with you knowing that what you know and how you want to move in your life, whether it's going, your job may change, some of you may move. There's a lot of different indicators here. Regardless of that, you're moving into a different version of yourself, and it's been happening for a while, but now you feel more, just less restrained. There's still going to be that pulling back and forth a little bit throughout this Uranus transit, but you feel less restrained because you care less about things that you used to care more about. for example, the thing that's coming to my head first and foremost is when you're talking to any older person who just doesn't give a fuck anymore. There's a certain point in each person's life where they're just like, I don't care, I'm myself. Regardless, this is who I am and this is how I'm going to present myself. I don't care. I really don't care anymore. And you just like live free. And there's a lot of this older women who you can feel that from and sense that from almost right away. And it almost goes to show that you don't have to age if you don't want to. And there's something very ageless about this time for you. You just have to trust the thunder. You just have to trust the movement. You just have to trust the shake up. And if you're not someone who dances, maybe it's time to start dancing more. Maybe it's time to start getting into your body more, because I even got a haircut because I needed more body. And so maybe you're needing more body in your life, meaning you need to get into your body more. You need to allow yourself to be in position. And each moment this month is going to get you into position. And by the end, I think you're going to see how naturally you choose what's better for you, you know? And if you don't, what the repercussions are, what the consequences of your actions and your decisions are more than ever. It's not so much karma, it's just like the pure part of you is being pulled out to the forefront. And you are this very beautiful, naturally sexy, very elegant human creature, goddess, whatever you want to call yourself. And now you get to have that experience almost with you and source, God, spirit, whatever you want to call this infinite energy, being, is now guiding you forward in a way where you can trust, you can understand. It's not without work. You'll have to do the things that you know that you're good at, and even sometimes when you don't want to do the things. But at the same time, you won't have to. Because I think more than ever, excuse me, my throat was a little dry. More than ever, I think what you notice is that, and something I've taken on for a while now, a mantra or whatever you want to say, call it, a prayer to yourself, is that I trust what I'm saying. I trust what I say in the moment. I trust that whatever comes out of me is necessary. And that's like one of my biggest worries is like, is this necessary? Like sometimes it's not and it happens anyway, but is it necessary? And in the moments you remember to ask yourself that, it's a great time to practice it. So I know there's a lot going on. But when we look at the cards, I think there'll be more clarity for you. Yeah, I say just enjoy what comes your way. I'm learning more about the details of the cards, so that will come out in the second part, which I'm excited about. There's a lot that you're noticing and decisions you're gonna make, and they're gonna feel like losses at first, but it's only because it's not supposed to come with you. And that's okay. All right, Taurus, I will see you next month. Have a great rest of your season. I hope you enjoy it and feel luxury. Feel things coming together. Feel how smart you are and how intelligent the energy is around you, that things just come to you. And I hope that you watch this long enough to hear that. So I will see you next month. All right, Taurus.